In 1965, my dad was a math professor at Calvin College in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And he started to think about the power of computers. As he tells it, I saw that computers were going to change the world. He convinced a local bank to let him use their computer. It was the entire fourth floor to teach his math students programming. But really, so he could learn. He became one of the first PhDs in computer science in the country. He later started a company in robotics and then a voice-over IP firm which went public. I learned from my dad to look for world-changing opportunities that were both powerful and profitable. My mom was a development director. I learned from her that you can get funding for things you believe in. I watched as she talked to people who shared her vision. I saw her invite them in and invite them to share with their heart and with their pocketbooks. She was good at it. She gave me a vision to make the world a better place. In 2004, I started working with the Women's Funding Network and women's foundations around the world. My focus was on women's economic empowerment. I was looking for strategies that could work. I saw similarities around the world in the injustices and the struggles of women. From Nepal to the Netherlands, from Green Bay to Ghana, I was awed by the power of women and their resilience. At the same time, I started with a team, a social investment firm. We raised a fund to grow businesses that were solving the same problems that disproportionately were affecting women: poverty, healthcare, education, jobs. This was a different world. Investment managers and entrepreneurs, all looking to take social capital and create good. I continued in both these worlds, women's economic empowerment and investing. And remarkably, I found little overlap. In fact, sometimes it reminded me of that old Reese's commercial. You know, you put chocolate in my peanut butter, like, hey, you put gender in my investing. Hey, you put investing in my gender. Here's the thing, remarkably, it was a tasty combination. Because what I learned is that investing in women is a smart financial move. And investing in women can change the world. I call this investing with a gender lens. By that I mean making decisions which support gender equality while seeking financial returns. Some of you in this room are philanthropists, and it may have clicked for you right away when I said gender equality. Others of you perked up when I said financial returns. Regardless of where I find you, please lean in a little bit and consider investing with a gender lens as a world-changing idea that is both powerful and profitable. Fortunately, there's a chorus, a virtual cacophony of voices backing me up on this one. Goldman Sachs says investing with a gender lens is the best way to reduce inequality and drive economic growth. They call it the virtuous cycle. The Economist says, forget India, forget China, forget the internet. Economic growth in the next decade will be led by women. Or take the World Bank summary. Gender equality is smart economics. These voices are supported by a mountain of data. Take that virtuous cycle. It happens because women bring different spending priorities. When a woman earns additional income, 80% of it goes into her family's health, education, nutrition, compared to 30 to 40% for men. Her family gets stronger, her community gets stronger, and eventually her country gets stronger. The virtuous cycle. But there's a lot of other data. Companies with 3 or more women on their boards outperform companies with no women on their boards by 53% return on equity. The FAO, France's equivalent of the World Bank, estimates that if women farmers had the same agricultural inputs as men, they would increase their yields by 20 to 30% and drive 100 to 150 million people out of poverty. Harvard Business Review recently profiled research saying the more women on a team, the better the team performs. I imagine there may be a few of you here who are glad that Harvard is coming around to what you may have known for a while. In the US, businesses owned by women, that's 40% of all businesses, are growing at twice the rate of businesses owned by men. And women hedge fund managers have outperformed their male counterparts by 50%, despite managing significantly less money. Leading to the question, what might have happened had Lehman Brothers had more sisters? So I could go on, but we really don't need more data at this point. What we need is action. Are you ready to call your financial advisor? So let's say you did. Hello, Jane. I'd like to start increasing my impact and driving returns by using a gender lens. You'd likely get the question that I get all the time. Jackie, what do you mean by a gender lens? So let me back up and answer that one. First of all, I mean a lens and not a limitation. A viewfinder for opportunity, not a constraint, not a rigid set of rules. When you put on your glasses, things get clearer. Think of a gender lens as a pair of glasses, where through one eye you see the realities and the needs and the leadership and the assets of women. And through the other eye, you see the realities, the needs, the leadership, and the assets of men. Second, I actually mean multiple lenses because you, as an investor, bring particular needs, interests, skills, and beliefs that will change the way you hone your lens. I've seen 3 lenses most commonly. I'm going to go through them, and I'd ask you to see what resonates with you. What picks up your story? Where do you connect? The first is access to capital, or who owns the company. From micro-entrepreneurs in Bogota to high-growth entrepreneurs in the Valley. From film producers in LA to fund managers in New York, women have less access to capital. It's been said women suffer from capital punishment. But savvy investors are finding remarkable opportunities with this lens. Take Cindy Padnos, a high-tech venture capitalist. We're talking big money, fast growth. She decided to create her fund in a way that would eliminate gender as a barrier. She took a meeting with a woman for every meeting with a man. She stacked her advisory board with the top women in tech. And the result, 40% of her fund is female founders, compared to 5 to 10% industry average. Her fund, performing in the top quartile of her peers. But look around the world. You'll find women entrepreneurs in every country and in every culture. Do you want a sense of scale? The World Bank estimates that women in emerging markets are collectively looking for $1 trillion to build their businesses. Second, gender lens investing is not just about women entrepreneurs. Take a lens of workplace equity. Look to see how women's leadership and equal rights are valued. Imagine going beyond binders to practices and results. Ask questions about gender diversity on the board, about flexibility, if men are taking paternity leave, about the supply chain and the healthcare of women factory workers. Get curious. Keep asking. Often this lens will bring things into focus. For Jason Barron and his team at US Trust, this lens brought an interesting correlation into focus. They found that companies with a smaller pay gap between men and women are better actors in their industries. They have fewer environmental penalties, fewer labor fines, fewer product safety recalls. In short, the lens becomes a viewfinder for better corporate ethics and bigger, longer-term returns. They call that socially innovative investing. You might call it smart. Finally, a lens to products and services, or what is it that the company makes? Now, smart companies have learned how to design for women because we make 87% of the consumer purchasing decisions. But I find actually more interesting companies that are designing products and services that solve the problems that disproportionately affect women and girls. I'm not talking about pink laptops here, but products that create safe childbirth in low-resource situations, bring clean water to villages, or create mobility for women workers. Access to good childcare in the Bronx, or access to midwifery in California. Oftentimes, this lens starts with women's unique needs and ends in an opportunity. Take women store owners in Africa. They often cross borders to buy inventory. And traditionally, they've brought significant cash with them, putting them at great personal risk. BCI, a bank in Mozambique, designed a corporate card with a higher credit ceiling and the ability to be used in different countries. Neither of those had ever been available to firms of that size before. So 3 lenses. You may have found that one connects with you, or that you like a combination of them, or you may come up with your own. The reality is, as someone who's worked in this field for a couple of years, I love them all. I can give you amazing opportunities to invest in each one. And to be honest, I am tired of hearing, let's invest in women, and finding that we're talking about a contest for a $10,000 prize. Small philanthropic dollars. Don't get me wrong, philanthropy is essential, catalytic, cannot be replaced. And we have to, in addition, start using a gender lens on the trillions of global investment dollars. Let's go back to your advisor, Jane, on the phone. She may feel like gender lens investing is a little complicated or not economically viable. Let me offer an alternative view that the innovators and the pioneers are already using these tools, that the data is in and the momentum is building, and we will soon get to a time where this type of analysis is expected in investing. And this type of investing is a commonly used tool for social change. Think back 10 years ago. If you asked your advisor about the impact of your portfolio on the environment, she would have pushed back. She would have said, we don't really know if that's direct impact. We don't have the data. You can't make money and do that. The same is true if you ask today about your impact on women and girls. But what happened? Well, first off, people kept demanding. And second, the environment and sustainability was shown to be a competitive advantage. Gender inclusion has been shown to be a competitive advantage. So now we need demand. You can join this movement of smart and world-changing investing. There are investment products, there are investment groups, there are advisors who will start you on your way. You don't have to be an expert in gender or in finance. Your voice and your questions will create change. Remember 2 things. First, a gender lens and gender equality is smart investing. And second, it's the fastest way to a world that works for all of us. For all the data, for all the stories, for all the ideas here, the choice to be changed by this lens is a personal one. It crosses power, possibility, and empathy. Let me give you a statistic born out of empathy. The biggest change in pay equity in a company comes when a male CEO has his first daughter. Because none of us want to live in a world where our kid makes 70 cents on the dollar or has a 1 in 3 chance of experiencing physical or sexual violence. And these statistics are not going to change with philanthropy alone. We have to get in the game as investors. We have to ask more questions. We have to move money. We have to use the tool of a gender lens in our investing to create a world that works for all of us. Thank you.